YouTube, welcome back. John here at Herman Woodworks on YouTube. I wrote it down on my vest because I forget to tell you guys all the time. Anyways, it's pretty cold here in Northeast Ohio, and I still have yet to get the heat in up here. Guess what? Band march is on. Back to the slab here. Little update. So did a little sanding on it, nothing worth making a video about, but talked with the client and decided where we wanted to get some chops going on and wanted to go over it on here. All right, so first cut's going to be made on this end of the slab. There was obviously a limb that came off here. Even when they were sanding it and planing it down, let's see if we can see. Probably not with the jigsaw in the way, but yeah, you can see it a little bit. She's a hair low there, and the client doesn't really want this sticking out, so you can kind of see I have a chalk line going where we're going to end up cutting that. And I'm just going to kind of keep it simple. I'm not going to cut it all the way back to the line first. I want to kind of progress it in and see how it goes, but I want to keep this natural contouring. This table kind of contours in at, say, maybe a 15, 20 degree angle. I've set this jigsaw up to kind of do that. Just going to take it low and slow, and we're going to kind of cut this off in here. And eventually, now talking with them, we want to start stripping off some of this actual exterior bark, get it down to some semblance of what's going to be the finished product. So let's do a little jigsawing. All right, so that quick cut already made this table look so much better, just getting that bad hook off there. But you can see I stayed off my chalk line. I want to be able to walk it in more once I peel off some of this exterior bark on the edges. Anybody who's doing this, I've heard, you can do some wire brushing. That gives it a little more of a textured look. I myself am probably going to be using my draw knife. If not, just using kind of like a duller chisel or putty knife, something, because I don't want to tear up this look. I want it to look like this. But I'm really happy how this turned out. Like I said, this gave it, obviously this is going to have to blend in, but already it's going to be so much nicer because you can actually see the wood grain in here from that limb. Must have been a pretty good sized limb. Eventually, the ends of these, I'm going to have to strike a line across and cut that off. So we got that. These don't need too rounded. We're going to round them a little bit. But coming down to this far end, we're going to, while I got the jig out, we're going to take this off. I could do it with sanding, but I'm just kind of going to, while I got the jigsaw, doing that. This one's not too bad. They actually lost a chip here from when they were cutting it anyhow. So we might hit that a little bit too. This side's all good. We just got to rip off this bark. It's probably what we're going to do here next. All right, so we're talking minor, just little bevel changes we're doing here. Like I said, I just was really wanting to soften these edges up, just so somebody wasn't getting hung up on these if they were walking by the table. All right, little tidbit. I had picked this up in case anybody was wondering. I picked this up from a pawn shop a while back, but this Bosch jigsaw, I've really loved this thing so far, this JS470E or 0E. I like this. It's like a lot of them. Yes, it's unplugged. There goes the cord. can adjust this angle. Sit it flat so you can see, just so I can make these odd bevel cuts. But you just change it with that little, and it has like a little gauge on it. It's pretty accurate. It does. I've used it for quite a bit of stuff, but thing's been a trooper for me. Little word of advice here. So most people, when they're working on a slab and they're trying to figure out how they want to finish it, they don't have the fine luxury of having a tester piece. Well, if you get a little sister piece of it or that, or in my case, if you get a cutoff, save this cutoff if you want to test different applications on how you want to finish your slab. Right now, my client, we're trying to make up our mind between like a Rubio or an Osmo or something. So we're going to kind of go back and forth, and also just to see, you know, put it on there, see what it looks like. But little word of advice. All right, next order of business is going to be to get this outer bark layer off and get it down to what we want to see. Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away using anything super sharp, a knife or anything like that. You might gouge in a lot further than you want. One of my favorite tools I've been using lately is this old draw knife. If you've got something like almost like a not so sharp putty knife or that, something, because you really don't want to hit into it too hard. A lot of guys will chisel in to this and peel it out. So yeah, we'll start with this. Get some of the nitty gritty off here. We're just kind of getting it roughed in tonight because it's already late. But there we go. Guess I could have just pried in, but oh well. Little nubs off. All right, and this right here is really where we want it. This is where. All right, initial cleanup on this is pretty good. Still going to do some fine touch up, but you can see we've made a pretty good mess. It's getting late. Luckily on the other side of the slab, when they were milling it, most of it was taken off, so I didn't have a horrible amount to take off. But now I still got to smoothen this out. But now that I do see this in here, we definitely are going to end up probably cutting this back, maybe taking this in a hair bit more right in here. But overall, pretty happy with this right now. All right, initial cleanup on this is pretty good. Still going to do some fine touch up, but you can see we've made a pretty good mess. It's getting late. Luckily on the other side of the slab, when they were milling it, most of it was taken off, so I didn't have a horrible amount to take off. But now I still got to smoothen this out. But now that I do see this in here, we definitely are going to end up probably cutting this back, maybe taking this in a hair bit more right in here. But overall, pretty happy with this right now. Who's going to clean all this up? Did they make a shop Roomba? So overall, on this project, obviously we have tons to do, but got a nice little jump start on it. It's starting to take shape here. One of the other things I got to do is we've decided on epoxying this in. Haven't decided. They might want to do a clear, kind of see some of the feature of it. Might do like a amberish or like a light black. But one of the things I got to do is all this stuff from this was a flying squirrel's nest, obviously a ant's nest before that, is I got to get in here with a pick and clean a lot of this little debris out, because last thing I want to do when we go to epoxy this is all of a sudden a bunch of air bubbles to be coming out of there and popping forever. So we're going to go up, clean out all this loose stuff that's in here, get all this out, and that'll be one of the next big steps, getting this epoxied. We got to put some bow ties in the bottom of this. They don't want to see them on the top to stop that crack from expanding anymore. Obviously that'll then get epoxied in when we do this, but yeah. All right, everyone, so that was just another quick little video. There's probably going to be a multi-part series on finishing this slab. That was just the first little part of it. Like I said, it'll come along pretty quick. With my meeting with the clients today, we're going to order up the metal legs that they want to do for this. And yeah, it's getting excited. So as always, talk to everyone again soon.